I just want to say thank you to Terrapin for asking me to come and present here, and Sally in particular, and to the people of Dubai who have proved to be excellent hosts. Thank you very much. During the course of the next 20-25 minutes, I really want to try and do three things. One is just to give you a broad overview of what Anglo American is about today and where it operates in the world. We'll look at the geographic spread of the operations. Secondly, will be to look at some of the global challenges that our business is faced with, which translate into opportunities. And when I say our business, I'm not referring to Anglo American, I'm talking to everybody in the room, and hopefully that will generate some conversation later in the evening. As you will see when I put these things up, most of the presenters have mentioned some of them already. And then thirdly, during my introduction, I want to move away from the project. I'm not involved in projects. I'm not an investor. I'm not a strategist with Anglo American. I'm an operator. My role is to improve our current operations, and I do that across the world. I do have my target to meet from our chief executive by the end of 2011, and you'll be pleased to note that my job is secure. We've already achieved that objective, so I'll talk to you about that later. But I really want to talk about the hidden mine rather than the project mine, and the hidden mine that we find when we go in and we really delve into the mining value chain in our operations. We find that the additional value that you can derive by optimizing your current systems is often worth as much as an investment in a brand new operation. Okay. So just to move on, so I wander. I'm not a desk holder. Anglo's operations worldwide, from about a 27 billion revenue, $9.8 billion profit in 2010. All of these numbers are in the public domain. You can look them up on our website. In terms of our offices, we have offices in Beijing, in Delhi, a major center in Johannesburg, South Africa, which is where I come from. Satellite office that we've just reopened in Lubumbashi in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Luxembourg, and our major head office now is in London, following our listing in 1999 on the London Stock Exchange. We have offices in Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, and Santiago, and Brisbane. The major products and commodities that we deal with in Australia is metallurgical coal. In South Africa, it's precious group metals, platinum, PGMs, iron ore, thermal coal, and of course our association with De Beers and the diamond producing countries of Botswana and Namibia. And in South America, in Brazil, we have ferronickel operations, very small phosphates and niobium operations, and in Chile, obviously the large copper mines, Los Bronces being the biggest, and then we have an association with Xstrata at the Collahuasi mine. So I think as operators of mines, the global issues that are facing our general managers and the actual practitioners that are out there trying to make these things work for us are now tremendous. When I go out to operations and I look at what our GMs are faced with today compared with what I was 15 years ago or 20 years ago as a general manager, it's a very, very different world that these young men are operating in and trying to drive value out of our businesses. And they're affecting every single one of us sitting in the room. And we need to work out how to create opportunities for competitive growth out of these challenges. Shifting in mining geographies, I think, is something that's already been mentioned. The traditional dripping roasts, as we used to call them, the high-grade, large, shallow mining reserves are all but gone. And we now have challenges to move geographies from our traditional geographies. Resource scarcity. They were talking about water, electricity, moving into areas, copper mining in Peru, where water is a major issue, for example. And my good colleague this morning was talking about water in Saudi Arabia to to exploit gold resources. Resource scarcity is a major challenge for all mining companies. The volatility of the markets make it very difficult to do any planning, short term, medium term, or long term. And I think the key one, and it was mentioned again with Madden and the technical university, I think it's a good name that you're planning on building in Saudi Arabia, is the war for talent. If one looks at the project pipeline that the majors are putting on the board at the moment, you look at the BHPs, Rio Tintos, Vale, Anglo, Xstrata, the war for talent is simply enormous. We just are not producing enough engineers to either project manage or staff these operations, nor are we producing enough operators. And we mustn't forget that the efficiency of our operations relies on the talent of the people that are driving our trucks and moving our loaders and etc. They are the people that determine our efficiency. The war for talent is huge. We've all seen the consolidation and the wave of merger activity that's happened in the mining industry over the last couple of years, and no reason to assume that that's over either. So it creates a degree of instability, not in the industry but amongst the workforce. Technological innovation is a major challenge for us to keep abreast of what's happening in the greater world, to keep improving our efficiencies. The margins, the efficiency margin improvements are getting smaller and smaller, and without technological innovation, we're going to stand still. What does the mine of 2030, 2040 look like? I would hazard a guess it looks a lot different to the mines that we're traditionally used to building today. And of course, the increased focus on social and environmental issues. The technology of recovering minerals from the earth is actually becoming quite simple and routine. It's dealing with the social pressures, the environmental pressures, and the communities that surround our operations that are really the key to success. And the amount of effort that we put into corporate social engagement, I think, is going to determine the success of the mining companies in the future. As an innovative miner, I'm sure these slides will be made available to you, so I have no intention of reading through, but I mean, basically looking from superconducting interfaces to look for remote ore bodies, from airborne systems to radar, looking at inside these are enormous open pits, looking for the marginal ore movement or wall movement to protect our employees from falls of ground. Technical innovation is very, 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 very significant. And if you briefly cast your eye over the list, you'll see a lot of the technical innovation is going into containing environmental issues for us. So if we look at how has Anglo American developed its strategy, what is the strategy over the forthcoming years? It's basically 4 pillars: organizing efficiently and effectively. Our chief executive changed a lot of our structures in 2008, 2009, and we became much leaner. The chief executives of the commodities it's a very decentralized model, and we are what we are called facilitators who engage with the business units and try and assist them wherever we can. We try and employ the best people. I think that's the war for talent is dictating where we go there. Operating safely and sustainably is a key underpinning part of our strategy, and then investing in world-class, large, and most attractive commodities. We've done a lot of selling down over the past few years in terms of determining what is core business, and the commodities that I described earlier on the world map is really where Anglo sees the highest commodity value and what they're pursuing in the future. So overall, Cynthia Carroll, our chief executive, has given us all the challenge of becoming the world's leading mining company. Not the biggest mining company, the leading mining company. I think there's a very different meaning to those words, and that means to be the investment, the partner, and the employer of choice. So if we look at how do we make a real difference in the communities in which we operate, corporate social investment by the company in 2010 was of the order of $111 million. And you'll see on the pie charts at the bottom there where the geographic split is. Obviously the majority currently in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, where we operate the most of our mines, and the bulk of it into community development. Anglo American has run its chairman's fund since 1974, which has done a great deal of work in the Southern African region, and that mode and approach is now rolling over into our operations in South America. So as we're striving to become the world's leading mining company, the partner and the employer of choice, we're really looking at operational excellence, and that's where my role comes in. And we've coined the phrase asset optimization. It was brought to us in 2007, end of 2007, and I would like to share that process with you. Okay, just before you click, just give me a moment. It's okay, just give me a moment. I think importantly, what we're looking for here, under the headline of asset optimization, is the complete valuation of the mining value chain. We looked yesterday in the workshop, for those of you in the workshop, we looked at arbitrage, and we looked at trading, we looked at the value that can be added at the far end of the mining value chain. We are trying to integrate that whole process from the geological planning that goes into the resource right the way through to the end of the trading phase and the commercial phase of the market. And obviously the one very much dictates the other. We have in the mining industry for many years operated in professional silos. Mining engineers tended to operate and try and optimize the mine. The metallurgical engineers would try and optimize the plant. The engineers themselves would try and optimize their maintenance. We want to look at full value chain and see what possibilities are there. So I'd just like to share the company's vision.
At Anglo American, we are passionate about maximizing shareholder and stakeholder value. Asset optimization is a vital part of unlocking the value of our resources, our equipment, and our people.
Asset optimization as a philosophy is about changing mindsets, changing practices at the core.
Its structure, its systems, and simplifying complexity.
It'll be right across the value chain, all the way from resources right up to the customer.
What starts as a program becomes the way we do business across Anglo American.
There is one constant in all of this, and that's the need as a business to continue to deliver value. And that's what we're going to stay focused on.
We will first go through a process of analyzing the business itself, trying to identify improvement opportunities.
Once we've identified the process, we then benchmark ourselves against external competitors, but also internally.
And then as we move down the performance chain, logging and recording those projects as they're identified and the key performance indicators that are driving them.
And we believe that by looking at all three of these aspects, that'll, number one, drive the value, but number two, it'll also sustain the value in the company going forward.
We've made tremendous progress. We are demonstrating performance as we have never demonstrated before.
Asset optimization delivered in excess of the target of $700 million for 2009. By 2011, asset optimization and supply chain will deliver $2 billion between them from the core businesses alone.
We're really doing well in terms of the time frame, and we have more than 400 value delivering projects on the pipeline.
Our systems are in place, our targets are very well set, and people are engaged.
Today we have champions in each and every operation throughout the organization, and it cascades all the way to the ground level.
People have been excited about the opportunity to unlock the value in the business and come up with some really creative and innovative solutions in terms of tackling problems.
The potential is massive, and this is just the beginning.
There is so much value in the resource, logistics, and in delivery to the customer that we haven't yet tapped into.
If we do this right, and we will differentiate ourselves from our competitors.
It'll make Anglo American the best it can be, fully leveraging its scope and scale.
We have so much value embedded in our organization, and we have so many wonderful people with capabilities to uplift that value to levels that we never imagined. The possibilities for Anglo American are absolutely tremendous.
Hope you enjoyed that, and you can probably see with support like that from our executive directorate, my job was a lot easier than it could have been. So the whole asset optimization strategic framework, let's get the best value that we can out of the full value chain. We kicked off in 2009, as you heard in the video, having run through 2010. We've looked at really developing and refining and implementing the process across the company. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, I suppose, is a great way to describe it. Because what my team has essentially become is an internal management consultancy. If you think of a Proudfoot or a McKinsey or any of those other groups, that is what we do. But it was very important, if we were going to actually get the value out of the business, that it didn't become an audit. People do not like to be audited; they don't mind being reviewed. So we put the teams together, and we travel extensively. You can imagine with a global footprint like that, how challenging it is. I personally made 37 international flights in the 12 months up until now to put this thing together. So 2011 has been implementation and bedding things down. In 2012, we will consolidate and work out what the next steps are. As I've already mentioned, it's a very structured process. Those of you who are familiar with industrial engineering practices, we use theory of constraints, we use value tree modeling, we use value-based monitoring, and we build models for the whole value chain from concept through to end. We have the formal operations reviews, as I talked about earlier, and we look at full value chain complexity. Okay. This is to give you an indication. By the end of half one 2011, this is commencing from 2008, we had achieved the $1 billion target, $1.17 billion, and we will, in American terminology, knock its socks off by the end of 2011. So it's looking very good. There I've put up a typical kind of example of where you think you are, and you think you're doing quite well. And once you get out there and you start to really benchmark yourself, not only externally, people, I think, make a big mistake of looking externally. Internally, you have a lot of very good performers. And how do you raise the bar to bring them all together? So we look at identification of opportunity. We look at training people in the tools. Most importantly, we look at implementation of that opportunity, because mining companies are usually pretty good as engineers at working out what to do. Actually making it happen is a different challenge altogether. And the last part is obviously replication. We have 75 different operations across the world, and one of the key things that we try and do, and I guess most of the companies here are the same, is to try and find a learning that's happening in a remote location in Australia, translating that value into something that we can embed in an operation in Chile, and so get the knowledge sharing up. As an example, on the longwall cutting hours, we're typically out of a 24 times 7, 168-hour week, 60 or 70 actual cutting hours was considered pretty good. We're now up over 100 and targeting 120 hours. So the optimization of current assets, but within a framework that makes a lasting difference to the communities in which we operate. And it's very interesting that the founder of Anglo American, Sir Ernest Oppenheimer, I think it was way back in 1917 when the company was first put together, the commonality in the statements that were made by Sir Ernest in 1954 and our current chief executive in 2011. Not a great deal of difference between the ethos of the company then and the ethos of the company now. So I hope I've just about exhausted my time. So I hope we've looked at the three elements that I wanted to try and get across in the presentation. What is Anglo American? The key things that are facing us as a greater mining team in the industry, and the third point being what it is that we do and the value that we can translate into shareholder and stakeholder value simply by looking at our current operations without investing huge capital into new ventures. And there's some of the characters and the people that are out there doing this thing on a daily basis. And it's amazing, really amazing, when you go and ask them how much value they can add simply by raising their own ideas up to help you achieve your objectives. Thanks very much.